Good morning. This is Mrs. Mattingly. Today is Friday, January the 22nd. To complete this lesson, you will need to get the notes that are the guided notes that you can find either in the content library of OneNote or on SchoolFusion for lesson 2, and that is defining prayer. I will dictate these. I will give you these notes orally, as well as you can watch the PowerPoint that is also posted on SchoolFusion after the fact. So you can listen first and then go back, and or you can participate as you listen to the notes. But you'll need to do both either way. So when we started out this unit, we talked about what prayer was. That was really kind of the first thing that we did. And I introduced you to, I gave you an invitation, essentially. I told you that I can't force you to pray. It's not something that I can ever make you do, but I can invite you and I can ask you to consider prayer. And I gave you a couple of good reasons why maybe you should consider prayer. We watched the video clips about different samples of prayer, and surely there are many others, and you all bring to the table your own experiences with prayer. But today we're going to try to define it a little bit more closely in some different terms. So first of all, I'll go ahead and start. What I'd like you to do is go to the your OneNote notebook in the collaboration space, and there is a tab already created for, it's called Chalk Talk, and it says Chalk Talk, how do you define prayer? What is prayer? So if you could please go there, and you're going to see the example that I left for you, which you will put your name, and then on the page that you add, you'll essentially put your definition of what you think prayer is. If you're one of the first ones to comment, then you won't see very many, obviously, but if you are later on, you get to kind of go through and look at what other people think and define prayer as. So take a second to do that, if you will. You will earn 5 participation points today for completing that. So if you go through and we look at what prayer is, there are several definitions of prayer. Most essentially, though, what we're going to use, and this is the big red flag, this will be on the test, is prayer is a relationship. It is our response to God, who is seeking us. God has been there. He's omnipresent. He's never fading, and He's always looking for us. It's our job to take a step out there and to seek Him. So a couple of quotes here. The greatest prayer is patience. Buddha said that in his infinite wisdom. And I liken prayer to how sometimes a stonecutter will hammer at a rock 100 times and without even a crack showing in the rock. But that 101st time, the rock splits in two. It was not the one blow that did it. It was all those before that. I also say it's a lot like a pickle jar. Think about how many of you have ever tried to open a pickle jar or some kind of jar in the kitchen, and you are just your mom is in there and she's trying to open it. Like she hands it off to you, you try to open it, and you're, okay, I can't do it. So then your dad comes in and everybody's like, oh, Dad can do it. Dad comes up and he can't open it, but then your 5-year-old little brother walks in and everybody, looks down at him thinking that's silly. He busts it open in 3 seconds. It was, of course, not your little brother that has superpowers. He doesn't have superhuman strength, but it was all of the efforts previously that helped to loosen that jar to get it to open. That prayer is a lot like that. Sometimes prayer takes a long time. It takes effort. So a few other quotes. St. John of Chrysostom says, nothing is equal to prayer. For what is impossible, it makes possible, and what's difficult, it makes easy. And one of my favorite ones, and you'll see this again because it's a really important one, is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who we celebrated earlier this week. It said to be a Christian without prayer is no more possible than to be alive without breathing. And I liken it also to exercise. You work out in the beginning. If you just started working out, it might be hard. It might not be an easy thing. But then after you have exercised significantly, it gets easier, it gets more comfortable, it gets to be something that's a regular part of your life. It wasn't easy to start with, but it becomes more and more comfortable. So, here's some other things that we have to remember about prayer. God makes the first move, and He calls and invites you. It's out there. We are the ones that have to respond. And you can respond negatively. You can turn away, and you don't have to pray. You don't have to answer. So what we consider then is that prayer is a response to our experience of God's in-breaking, God coming into our lives. Other definitions, some of the saints. St. John Damascene said that prayer is raising one's mind and heart to God. St. Augustine said that true prayer is nothing but love. For St. Therese, she says that prayer is a surge of the heart. I really like that idea of our heart surging outward, searching for something or someone else. St. Clement said it's a conversation with God, talking to God. Maybe some of you put that in your Chalk Talk section, talking to God. All right. So we think of that there are really kind of 4 stages of prayer. So we might start out praying, maybe when we're first kind of giving it a go, just giving it a try, like I'm saying things at God. And once we've done it for a little while, you might feel like you're talking to God. And then even after a little bit longer, which this step can take a while, and it can be difficult for some people to listen to God, to kind of take a second to accept and hear things back. And then it also might take even longer to listen for God in the events in your life. A lot of times it's really difficult to sit back and look around and something happens and you think, where's God? For example, we've got this 3rd snow day in a row, which now means that we have a digital learning day. And, I wasn't really thrilled about it. I wasn't too excited about thinking, okay, great, we are going to have a digital learning day and we're going to have, school from home, and I'm going to juggle working with my kids and trying to teach as well. But I have to look at it and think, okay, what is God trying to tell us and me? And I'm not sure that I have the answers yet, but you really do have to take a second and step back to be able to let yourself just sort of let it sink in. And it doesn't always happen all at once. All right, so what we think of prayer as is a language of a relationship, a being present, listening, and being present in your heart. We can also think of it as God's gift and spirit in us. All right, so here's some suggestions. All right, some things that you could do to help you out with prayer. So pray where you are and not where you think you should be. So you might be like thinking, I need to be this excellent prayer and I have to do that this way. Absolutely not. Pray however and wherever and whatever is the best way for you. And the same goes with pray as you can, not as you can't. If for you it does not work, trying to pray in church, on your knees, hands folded, head bowed, then pray under a tree, sitting outside in nature. Don't do it today. That's probably not a good idea. But any other time, yes, that would be a cool thing. God works with what is, and it is what it is. God's going to look at what your effort is and say, thanks for trying, and I appreciate it. And prayer can take many different forms and feel many different ways. It might not be the Hail Mary that you're praying. And it might be you just saying, hey, God, I really, really appreciate the fact that I didn't have to go to school today because I was not feeling well. Whatever it is, it just depends. And where you find God, stay there. If you find something that works and you feel connected, then keep doing it. You might want to try something different at some point, but you don't have to. Stay where you are. All right, so here's some of the benefits then, all right, of prayer. Some of the things that are good and sort of other reasons, other support for why I think you should consider prayer. So prayer contributes to our sense of self-worth. It can help us to feel happier. It changes us. These are things that have been shown and proven. It can nourish us in our virtues, and virtues, the definition is just those things that help us to live a more just and healthy and holy life, those positive things. Um, Prayer energizes, and it can calm and renew us. Sometimes meditatively, that can be a really important thing. Um, it heals, as well as it can help relieve anxiety. And one of the most important things, it can help deepen our relationship with God. Now, all these things are not guarantees. I'm not saying that if you pray that this will absolutely 100% happen. Definitely maybe not the first time, although you never can tell. But these are things that a lot of people report, that when they pray on a consistent basis, that they feel these things. Here are some of the things that get in their way. All right, we find it hard to stay at home, and that doesn't mean like we just have to, be gone all the time from our homes, literally, but it does mean that we find it hard to just kind of stay put. Well, and then what we do is who we are. So if we are people that are running around all the time like crazy with our, like chickens with our head cut off kind of thing, yes, then that is who we will become, right? And if we are people that don't pray, we will become people that don't pray. We get caught up in things, and we find it hard to be still, to really just take our time and relax and sit back. We also live in a world that expects instant results. You know what? If my Easy Mac is not ready in 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I am just going to lose it, right? Or if, I'm one of those like clickers on the browser. If it doesn't open within like 2 seconds, I'm like, click, 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 click. Why isn't it opening? Why isn't it opening? And I've seen you all. Don't even try to pretend. All of you do that. So we live in this world that expects these instant results. Prayer is not like that. Remember the stonecutter example? And remember the pickle jar? Prayer is not that way. We a lot of times also resist reacting to emotions. We end up being those kind of people that don't want to show emotions, and we kind of hide them. Because people will say, "Oh, you're a wimp," or "Oh, you don't look cool because you're crying," or you don't, or because you're laughing and happy. People will talk about things that really it's not relevant, but we feel like we should be held to the standard, and it's not necessary. We also have to have this control in our lives. If I were in the classroom, I'd ask how many of you would consider yourselves control freaks, and I'd probably see about half the room's hands go up. And that's kind of a normal thing. We all feel like we really want control over our lives and our world, but prayer has nothing to do with that. We have to relinquish all control, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And then there's always difficulty finding time for God. My schedule is just as packed as your all's are. I know you leave school and you head to an extracurricular activity. Either you ride horses, or you play basketball, or you are in the theater group, or you are on quick recall, or you have a job, whatever it is that you do. And then you go home and you do homework. Or you maybe even have a friend that you like to hang out with, or you spend 4 hours watching Netflix. Now, either way, you are just like me, and I've got stuff too, and we find it hard to squeeze God in. And then it's a lot of times hard to live in the present moment, like right now, to keep ourselves grounded. A lot of times we want to like think ahead, like when's spring break? Well, it seems like it's farther off now than it did a couple days ago, but that's kind of what ends up happening. We're already planning like what we're doing on Friday. Well, it is Friday, but that kind of thing. You get what I'm talking about. So some stumbling blocks, myths or misconceptions, that we need to pray a certain length of time. You absolutely don't need to pray any certain length of time. Sometimes my best prayers are 2-minute or 2-second even prayers to God. Thanks so much for being there. We also don't need to pray every day like we are on retreat. Okay, we can pray on retreat a lot differently than we pray when we are home from retreat. That's why it's retreat. It's retreat because it's a special time. We're going to be closer. And if you think that you have to replicate that, then you are going to really be banging your head up against the wall, because it's not going to happen. It really won't. You can't be on retreat when you're not on retreat. You also feel like you need to be in a certain state or place to pray. You absolutely don't. I can pray right here from my kitchen table where I'm sitting right now recording this, or I could pray in the chapel at school, or I can pray in my parish church. It's really wherever you feel comfortable or right. A lot of times I'll pray in the car on the way to school after I've dropped off my daughters because I'm, it's quiet and I'm by myself and it's like alone time. And that might sound weird, but, you do what you have to do. You do what you can when you can. There's also no ideal way to pray. There's no wrong way. God is appreciative of your effort. And as well as prayer does not always equal consolation. As much as I'm telling you that prayer can be helpful and a good thing, you might pray one time and it's something that's a real serious, deep hurt. Maybe somebody has passed away that you love, or you've lost something, or something just really painful has happened. It might not be that prayer makes you feel 100% better right away. And that a lot of times makes people give up on prayer or they get frustrated with it. We also have this feeling that we have to become really good at it. A lot of times people, and you guys are all overachievers, no matter who you are. So you feel like I have to do better. I have to do this amazing job. You don't. You absolutely don't. So I've been talking for about the last 16 minutes, and hopefully you've gained a few new things about prayer that you didn't know before. And so now it's time for you to do a little bit of work on your own. So once you've gone back and made sure that you filled in the notes, which I don't know, might take you 5 or 10 minutes or maybe more if you haven't done it as we've been going through things. I don't think it should take you too terribly long, but you're going to create a little mock, which mock means fake, hopefully pick up on that, advertisement. And you're going to be representing and telling everyone, you want to tell everybody about what an amazing thing prayer is, and number one, basically, your objective, why they should consider prayer. Okay? And I say why they should consider it because, again, we're not trying to force it, but we are really, really encouraging people to think about praying, that's something that they want to try. So here's what your mock advertisement should include. First of all, it should be some form of media. It could be a newspaper ad, like something you'd see in the Courier Journal or in our very own Rose Call or in the Record newspaper that comes out every Thursday for Catholic households. It could be an internet pop-up, one of those that flies by that's kind of annoying that you want to go and click on and say, go away. But of course you wouldn't go away from your ad. It could be like a billboard for outside of outside the classroom. That could be totally possible. That could be something that you could create. Or it could be any other like pamphlet, flyer, just something that like you'd hand out to somebody. Whatever you think would be appropriate is probably okay and right. And if you aren't sure whether something would be a good idea for a ad, you can absolutely email me and ask and check with me on that one. Right? The most important thing is you have to remember your audience. Remember I told you that English teacher sometimes comes out. So if we were in class, I would say, who is your audience? And essentially your audience is going to be the Assumption community. So you think about where you've seen ads in our building, and the best place I always see them is on the back of the bathroom stalls or in the hallways as you're walking down the stairs. A lot of people look at those, or on the doors. So that's where your ad is going to be placed. So these are the people that will be seeing your ads. So you want to put things that maybe might make it interesting to your audience. You want to make sure that on your advertisement somewhere is the definition of prayer that we use. Now you might go back to the very first slide where we talked about the definition of prayer when I said it was the one that was on the test. You can do it either word for word or you can paraphrase it. That's fine too, either way, whichever you want. You also need to explain one benefit. So pick one from the benefits list of the slide that you just looked at, or your notes. One of the obstacles to prayer, and then one of the things that is listed as a myth or a misconception of prayer. So those three things, you get 1 point for each of those somewhere on your ad. And then, like I said before, it needs to be creative. Make it your own. Make it look like yours, that if I open it up and go, oh, that's really cool. It looks just like fill in the blank, your name here. Add your personal touch. So clip art, Personal drawings are awesome. Love that. Creative fonts and colors and all that is fantastic, and I would love to see all that too. It needs to be done on time. It needs to be neat and complete and have no errors in grammar or spelling. Please don't misspell prayer or misconception or something like that. Just make sure that you really go back and check that. That's really important. Okay, so you'll get all your points as long as you do all these things and have this posted in your OneNote notebook in your under your prayer heading by 10 o'clock tonight. Please have that done. I will have all that information explained again on SchoolFusion, on the agenda, as well as in the content library. I hope you have gotten everything you need. And again, of course, if you did not, or there's anything that you're confused about, please feel free to email me and let me know. Hope that you get all of your work done, and I will see you, hoping, fingers crossed, on Tuesday. See you later. Bye.